Hello everyone, this is episode 2, and today we are discussing Facebook ad trends and what they have to do with politics and Christmas.
You're listening to the Merged Marketing Podcast with David Louch and Jason Hunt. This is a show all about unlocking the marketing tactics and secrets behind everyday brands. Each week, we'll bring you expert commentary so that you can make better choices when it comes to growing your business. Thank you for spending time with us. Now let the show begin.
Today, our guest is going to be Jason. Jason, how are you today?
Doing pretty good, David. Super excited for the long-awaited podcast.
Okay, perfect. So we'll get right into it. So today we're going to be discussing Facebook ads, specifically focusing on costs and what our listeners, you, need to know if you're finally thinking about being more active on the platform in 2020. But first, Jason, why don't you give our audience a quick overview of how Facebook spends your money and how to set up a campaign to optimize that budget efficiently.
Absolutely. So what happens is, for most business owners, typically, anybody who just doesn't have a lot of time, they typically press that boost button. And what happens when you hit that boost button is essentially you're telling Facebook to put your ad in front of as many people as possible without a rhyme or reason. Yeah, you're going to choose your interest-based targeting. But what Facebook is really doing, because you're optimizing for reach, they're going to put your ad in places where people are typically going to scroll past your content. It could be near the end of the news feed, maybe the 20th, 30th, or 40th post somebody's cruising by, and typically not up at the top in somebody's news feed. So that's something that people, the misconception is, I do Facebook ads, I boosted a post, when really you need to try to deploy some tactics around optimizing for engagement, telling Facebook you want to get your ad in front of people that have a tendency to like, share, or comment on content, or optimize for leads. So telling Facebook, I want you to put my ad in front of people that have a tendency to become a lead, or maybe it's a landing page view. So Facebook will optimize your ads to put them in front of people that have that behavior to land on a website and actually wait for the page to load.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing you say is you really have to figure out first what you want that person to do on the other end. Is it watch a video on your Facebook page, or is it actually to go to your website and buy something, or whatever it might be? You have to choose that specific outcome in Facebook in order for the ad to work effectively.
Absolutely. And keep in mind, bear in mind, like I've run reach campaigns before. Like if I'm targeting, for example, if I'm doing venue targeting, so let's say we're going to an event that might have an attendance of 2,000 people in a specific building. Well, I'm just going to try to target the 2,000 people that are in that building during the event. The best ad type to optimize for would be reach, because you just want to get your ad in front of those people. You really don't care if they're a person that has a tendency to click or not. You just really want to bring awareness to your brand and the fact that you're at that show. So optimizing for reach for a small audience is a good way to do it. Even with cart abandonment as well, which is another one. You might not have a ton of people that are abandoning your cart after they put a product in it and not purchase it. So with that, you might want to also optimize for reach on that audience.
Yeah. And when it comes to actually putting the money on the ads, like, are we specifically just saying, okay, we want $20 on this specific ad, or where do you devote the money? Like, how does that work?
Yeah. So typically, there's tons of different types of strategies that you can deploy for this. One of the strategies that we implement at Merged is, having the awareness, consideration, and conversion campaigns, and typically dedicating 33% of the budget to each of those stages. So the initial one being the awareness. So running brand awareness could be a video view campaign and trying to tell Facebook to put the ad in front of as many people as possible that will watch that video. And then from there is the consideration, where we can retarget those people that watch 10 seconds of a video with another specific ad. That ad could be maybe talking a little bit about the features, but that ad is geared towards a warm audience. And then conversion, and getting people to push them over the edge to buy the product. So having a very specific type of ad in front of that person. It could be a testimonial. It could be something that addresses the objections that the consumer might have. This would be a good time to show that ad.
Very interesting. And so where are you setting the budget in terms of which level is it?
Yeah, good question.
And what is an ideal budget nowadays for a normal business? Maybe just an everyday, mom and pop shop or family company or whatever.
Sure. So our business has evolved quite a bit over the last 4 years. We could easily post something 4 years ago and get a good amount of organic reach, and with a limited need for paid reach. So, $10 4 years ago got a lot further than it does today. So nowadays we do have to have a bigger budget because the landscape has become a lot more competitive. I forget what the number is now. It's almost 6 million average marketers are on Facebook. That's crazy, right? So don't quote me on that.
Yeah, but, it's something like that.
It's
6 or 7
up
million.
there.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So just to think that there's a lot of marketers and not so much inventory.
Yeah, and we'll get into that a little bit later.
Okay.
But that's perfect. Yeah, just kind of a little overview for the listeners on how to optimize those budgets and how that all works and setting things up. So thank you for that. Appreciate it. So now kind of the meat of the podcast, I want to explore the rising costs of Facebook advertising, because at the moment that we're recording this episode, we're right before Christmas 2019. So happy holidays and happy New Year to everyone that's listening to this now after the holidays.
La 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 la.
Yeah. So there's 3 things I specifically want to hit on here that is causing the cost to advertise on Facebook to rise, and would love your input on why exactly that's happening in those 3 different areas. But I mean, for me, the way that I look at these rising costs, and correct me if I'm wrong, is this is just another platform. I mean, we're so used to Facebook ad costs being so cheap because it was a relatively new platform. But I mean, it's kind of just like anything, billboard costs have risen over the years, newspaper costs have risen over the years. This is just another one of those advertising platforms that, yeah, like you said earlier, the more marketers that come on here, the more users that come on here, it's just kind of naturally, how things work. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. You just kind of have to adjust your content and your ad spend to appropriately, meet those demands. I don't know if you have any comments.
Yeah.
On that.
So, I mean, absolutely. It's all about supply and demand, right? Like right now,
and by the way, that is the first one I want to talk about. So that's a good segue. The first reason for the rising costs on Facebook is supply and demand. Yeah.
So, I mean, supply and demand. So just talk about that for a second. So, I try to tell, new clients that are coming in the door in December to maybe just wait. Unless you're an e-commerce product, let's wait until January to get started, because December is the highest cost. Is the most expensive time to be advertising on Facebook. Costs drastically drop in January when the e-com marketers start to fade a bit, and that is a great time to start advertising on Facebook. And it is in January. In addition to that, next year, 2020 is an election year in the U.S. Okay. And so it's safe to say that you're going to have pretty much every politician dedicating a budget to Facebook advertising. So that's just something to be conscious of when you're promoting in the U.S. in 2020 is you can probably expect your ad costs to rise because of the simple fact that there's going to be a lot more marketers on the platform in the U.S. trying to get in front of those people that you're trying to reach as well as a business owner. Yeah.
So, going back to the first point, which was, supply and demand, and you made an interesting point earlier about how many advertisers are on Facebook right now. And that's people like you creating ads for companies. You said it was 6 or 7 million people or advertisers. So you think that has an impact on the cost? of advertising.
Absolutely. I think it has an impact on cost because there's obviously more people trying to get in front of those eyeballs, but also people are getting much better now. And you have to be better now on Facebook because of how powerful it is. People are just unaware on how powerful that platform is, that you can get in front of that exact target audience. I don't know if you want to get into this now or later, talking a bit about audiences. But I mean, that is like the ability you have to get your ads in front of somebody that looks exactly like your customer is phenomenal. Like you can, the fact that you can tell Facebook to go find people that look like your customer list and exclude people that look like bad customers. You know what I mean? That's something that people neglect a lot, is the ability to exclude certain types of people from their ads. We're running a series of ads right now for a jewelry company, and obviously it's a high ticket item, but we want to exclude certain audiences, like people that are interested in Walmart. You know what I mean? And
that's interesting.
Yeah, doing that type of exclusion targeting is pretty powerful to make sure your ads aren't getting in front of the wrong people. Everyone just talks about getting your ads in front of the right people, but it's also about not getting your ads in front of the wrong people.
Yeah. No, that's an interesting point. And I know something that people say often is they feel it's so creepy how ads will follow you around the internet from all the different platforms, and you'll be looking at shoes on a website, and then 10 minutes later you'll go to Facebook and you'll see that same shoe company and an ad for that same shoe on the side of your screen, and it's creepy. And I do understand that, but at the same time, for me personally, it's something that I'm interested in. If I started seeing stuff that I wasn't interested in, or for sites that I wasn't visiting, then yeah, I'd have a huge problem with that. But like, it kind of makes my experience online better if I'm being if advertising is actually working the way it should, and I'm seeing the stuff that I'm interested in or that I was already looking at. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that.
That's all Facebook cares about, right? Facebook wants marketers to spend more money, so they're going to prioritize the user experience above everything else. That's why they did take that privacy Cambridge Analytica stuff very seriously. And of course they are. Of course they do, because they want users to keep coming back, because if there's no users on the platform, marketers can't make money. So they care so much about that user experience. And to your point about the shoes, it's funny because how many people have talked to me at one of my conferences and been like, the conferences I've spoken at, and been like, oh, Alexa's listening to what I say and they're creeping on me. Not really. Like, they're just, Facebook's keeping an eye on every single action that you take, every single behavior that you make online, as well as the behavior of your friends. So if you had a conversation about Nike shoes with a good friend, how do you not know that friend engaged on the product, and now that marketer is targeting friends of people that engaged on the product, right? So that can happen too.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. So, in terms of the content though, what are you seeing right now as being the best performing content type on social media? Like, is it video? Is it picture? What do you think people are doing now, right before the holidays and after that's going to, increase conversions or really drive results for some of the marketers out there, business owners out there that are looking to start in 2020?
Yeah. So, and this changes all the time. By the time people hear this, it might change again. 2019 was a huge year for video content, getting our ads in front of people that have a tendency to watch video. But the truth is, the behavior of most people on Facebook is not to sit there and watch long-tailed video. They're going to watch about 10 seconds of a video and get on to the next thing. They're going to click through to a website and want to come back to Facebook to go on to the next thing. Yeah. So through our testing, actually, over the last month, we've actually seen images perform better than video in terms of driving that call to action being a click-through or a landing page view or an engagement compared to video content. Now, I don't know why exactly that is. It could be because Facebook is putting your video content in placements where people are only watching video and not engaging on content, where your images are being put in placements where people will like and share and comment. Right. So that's something to think about as well. And Instagram as well is another place where, there's going to be a lot of video content. So if you're ever optimizing for engagement on Facebook and you choose to select Instagram as a placement as well as Facebook, where do you think your money's going to go? It's going to go to Instagram because people are double tapping all day long. Right.
Okay.
That's what you're optimizing for.
That's right. That's right. Perfect. Okay. Well, that's a good time. I want to move into the second point of why costs might be rising at this time on Facebook, and that's going back to something we mentioned earlier. The holidays. For us at the time of the recording, it's right before Christmas, and it's probably been more expensive on the platform for probably quite a while, as the holiday season just doesn't consist of Christmas anymore. It also consists of Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Christmas, Boxing Day. So it's quite the buildup, and so maybe share some insights on why exactly costs might be increasing during the holidays.
Well, I think that just proves the power of Facebook advertising, right? People are going to double down where they see things working. So, Cyber Monday is massive now. You know what I mean? People are taking advantage of that. And how else are they going to do it? They're going to do it through a Facebook offer potentially, right? Like, it's funny. I say this. It's like, if you ever want to see a good deal on a business, you're thinking about buying a new pair of Nike shoes. Well, go on over to the Sport Check website and go over to the page transparency tab. Click on it. Look at all the ads Sport Check is running. They might just be running a 20% off deal on that Nike pair of shoes. So all you need to do is just go over, put the item in your cart, and then abandon your cart, and you might see that 20% off the next time you're on Facebook.
Yeah,
right.
Interesting hack. Yeah, no, there you go.
That's what I mean. But my point is that people are leveraging these holidays because you can actually kind of map out that customer journey, right? If somebody engages in a piece of content in October, hitting them a couple weeks before Black Friday, letting them know about Black Friday, and then retargeting them again with an actual deal on Black Friday is a pretty good customer journey. You can really storyboard it out for them, and that's what we do. You got to really storyboard that journey. The misconception is, I'm just going to sell something with my first ad on Facebook.
Yeah, and I was going to bring that up. Like, is this something that business owners and people should plan far in advance for? Maybe start planning it out in October, so that they can launch at the beginning of November and build that up before Black Friday and Christmas? Or, do you get people coming to you at, December 10th or 15th and saying, hey, I want to advertise my product for Christmas?
See, it's kind of a catch-22 because if you have a low ticket item, okay, let's say you're selling a microfiber towel, okay, $20. It's going to be really tough to generate your return on investment when you're doing all this like awareness advertising months in advance, right? Because you're not going to get much results for that during that awareness advertising phase of the campaign. But with a higher ticket item, let's say you're selling pianos, a little different, right? You can afford to dedicate 33% of your marketing budget to awareness and then drive them down to that conversion, because it is something people need to think about. Think about, we work with a developer down in Honduras. There's a huge customer journey that we need to consider. Nobody's going to opt into purchasing a development down in Honduras or a condo down in Honduras without us addressing those objections in the ads beforehand. Yeah. So we have to take that opportunity to address the objections. Yeah. There's not too many objections to an instinct buy like a towel. Yeah, you know what I mean? So you can kind of shorten that customer journey. But for the higher the ticket item, I think the longer the customer journey typically needs to be.
Yeah. No, that's interesting. And, something else that I often think about, because, you're driving on the highway and you're seeing billboards, or you're looking at magazines or newspapers or, whatever, or you're watching TV and you're seeing all of these big brands running ads for their products or for their sales on Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Christmas, whatever it might be. And we're talking about like Nike and Sport Check and all these massive brands. Like, do you think that they are also increasing their presence and their ad dollars on platforms like Facebook and Instagram during the holidays as well, which is basically making all of the little guys or medium-sized guys get kind of squeezed out?
That's interesting. And because, they do have bigger budgets and they could kind of push those little guys out and get that ad space if they wanted to, right? But again, Facebook has the power, to kind of prioritize content. So the little guys are still going to get, they're still going to get their spots. They're still going to get their ads out there, right? But for the most part, you're right. The more and more these Coca-Colas drive their ad dollars away from TV ads and move it into social media, the more and more it's just going to drive up the cost. And it is, inevitably, the mom and pop and shops, might be. It might not be a platform for them any longer, right? They might have to move over to other platforms like TikTok or where you might get more organic reach.
And now, a word from our sponsor.
This week's episode is brought to you by our good friends over at CF Landscaping. Their services don't just end at design and creating innovative landscapes, but also helping to maintain the quality and appearance of the properties they service. Check these guys out at cflandscaping.ca. Thanks, guys. All right, and we're back. So we have just covered a couple points of why Facebook ad costs are increasing for the listeners that might just be joining. First was supply and demand. So, the amount of advertisers that are on the platform right now, which is, around 7 million. You also have the holidays right now. It's just before Christmas here. And so there's more brands and more products on the platform that businesses are spending money to try and generate sales for before the holidays. And then now the third and interesting one to me is politics. Now, what does politics have to do with Facebook? There's so much controversy in the news lately with what role Facebook has played in the outcome of elections in the U.S. and other places in the world. But specifically, what's causing the increase in costs right now on Facebook?
Increasing, as I mentioned before, 2020 with the election up on us here, you're going to get every single political party and representative wanting to get in front of that audience. We all know the power of it, based on the last U.S. election, right? There's a great movie called The Great Hack on Netflix. I strongly recommend.
I've seen it.
Have you seen it?
It's great. Yeah.
It's really good. It really dives into the Cambridge Analytica scandal and how the Republican Party was able to hone in on a very persuasive audience, an easily persuaded audience, to get them over to the Trump side by just subjecting them with certain types of ads and information, whether or not be fake news or not. Just basically they were just getting a certain message in front of that user. So I think what that did is it shined the spotlight on how powerful Facebook advertising can be. I remember right after Cambridge Analytica happened, I had a lot of clients asking like, hey, what's up with this privacy stuff with Facebook? Is everyone jumping off the platform? Yeah. Absolutely not. No. If anything, it's increasing in marketers because now marketers know how powerful the platform is, and it's just bringing additional awareness to Facebook. Yeah. Like, look, the 50 plus crowd is not leaving Facebook because the 50 plus crowd is going on Facebook to look at pictures of their grandkids.
Interesting. And would you say that is the main demographic that's using Facebook right now as opposed to Instagram?
Yeah. So it's the fastest growing demographic on Facebook is women and men 50 plus. And what's worth noting is the way they consume information compared to millennials. Okay. Millennials live on Instagram. Facebook owns the 50 plus crowd. People on Facebook, they're scrolling through content. That demographic is stopping at each piece of content. They're consuming the content. They're reading it and making a decision whether or not they want to click through to that website or landing page. On the other side of it, it makes perfect sense on Instagram that it's more geared towards millennials because it's very easy to consume content. It's images, it's on to the next one. It's geared towards people with a shorter attention span, as well as TikTok, quick 15-second videos geared towards people with a very short attention span.
Interesting. Yeah. So when it comes to politics though, like you're saying that, your local politician in your province or your state, the individual, whether it be David Louch or Jason Hunt, like you're saying that they are themselves running ads on these platforms to get people to vote for them and bring awareness to their platform.
Bring awareness to the causes, bring awareness. You can look at the page transparency on Trump. I did a couple months ago. You can see every single ad that Donald Trump is running.
Really?
He's running ads right now. Tons.
That's cool.
And so you can actually see what every political party is running out there as an ad. I think it's, I'm not a political guy at all. But I did notice during the Canadian election recently that a lot of parties were running ads for themselves, and I think they definitely, you're able to use it to your advantage because you can get that right message in front of the right audience, right? And if you're a no name on that ballot, Facebook is a great platform to get out there in front of that audience, right, to make a name for yourself.
Yeah, this is interesting, because I'm sure a lot of people, when they think about Facebook and advertising in general, they think, well, that's for businesses. Like I need a business that maybe has a service or a product to run ads. But, it sounds like Facebook and Instagram and these social platforms are a really good way for just individuals that want to build maybe their own personal brand, whether it be a politician or, someone running for a local council, or, maybe just trying to build up their speaking engagements, whatever it might be, like just a human, like a not a business, a David Louch or a Jason.
Absolutely. It's funny. If I'll tell you right now, if there's anybody single out there listening to this, take my advice on this, okay? Put your money away, put your $69.99 for eHarmony membership back in your pocket, okay? And I want you to take it back out of your pocket and put it into Facebook ads. Okay?
Wow.
And I want you to create a personal brand for yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. But what you're doing is you're using that quote unquote Facebook business page as a platform for you to go out there and get yourself a date, because you can get your ads in front of the exact person that you're after.
Oh, geez.
Do they like the Leafs?
Yeah.
Do they like the Philadelphia Eagles or the Cleveland Browns? Do they like Italian food?
Yeah.
Do they like to travel?
Yeah.
Oh, you don't like people that read books? Perfect. Exclude people that read books from that audience. And you can target the exact person that you're after and put a nice picture of yourself having a coffee, asking, hey, how about joining me for a date? Targeting people living in your city. You know what I mean? And spend that $69.99 on ads for a month, and I will almost guarantee, I've never tried it. I'm sure you will get a few people making comments, or maybe, where would you send people to? That's the thing. Maybe just have a Facebook lead form.
Yeah, interesting. That is funny. I never thought of that. So that's cool. I kind of want to give that a try. I don't know how much my partner would like that, but hey, I'll just tell her it's for experimental purposes, right?
Yeah, you just go look for another couple.
Yeah, definitely. Cool. Well, that's interesting. So is there any other points you want to make on either of these three things? So supply and demand, holidays, or politics in general?
I think the point to be made, the biggest opportunity is just understanding how powerful the platform is, and understanding that really, the targeting abilities. We dedicate a good portion of our campaign to market research prior to starting the campaign. It's, in my opinion, it is probably the most critical part to a campaign, is understanding the market, understanding the competition. So if you want to see what the competition's running, go to that page transparency tab on the Facebook page for your competitors. And you can see everything that they're running. And then doing that market research and understanding the audience, because when Facebook made a change recently, the copy of an ad, when you see it in your newsfeed, it used to be 7 lines long. Right. Facebook recently condensed that to 3.
Interesting.
Okay, so being aware of that, you only have 3 lines.
Yeah, our attention spans.
Our attention span is short, so you got to make sure that in those 3 lines, that whatever you say in that first sentence, it is resonating with that audience that ad's in front of. The best performing ads that we do are the ones that were specifically geared towards a specific person.
Wow.
Okay. We're running a campaign right now for a equestrian online store. Okay. Horses. It's a very niche product. It's very easy to get in front of the audience based on some of the interests that we're targeting. Okay. Just based on that, our ability to get in front of that audience with an ad that has a picture of a horse is so powerful, because that ad speaks to that audience. It gets more difficult when we're running ads for an insurance company, financial advisor,
I would imagine,
a gym. You know what I mean? Well, think about it. When you're running ads, it's a little more trickier, because how can you hone in on that exact audience that you're after and separate yourself from everybody else out there? So the closer you can narrow that gap between being vague and ambiguous to speaking exactly to that audience, the better your Facebook ad will perform.
Interesting.
100.
Yeah. So I guess in that market research stage, you're really trying to come up with an avatar, like an actual person, who they are, what they look like, what they do, what their interests are, that sort of thing.
Absolutely. You want to figure out exactly the person that you're talking to. And for example, if we're running, let's say you're running an ad for personalized jewelry.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you should be running a very specific ad towards men, because typically a man is probably buying that for somebody else. So it's a gift. So that copy and that image needs to be geared towards a man buying a gift for a female. Okay. And on the flip side of it, if you're gearing that custom-made jewelry ad towards women, well, you're speaking to the actual consumer that's going to make the purchase, right? So you're only targeting women, and that copy is going to be very specific to the person you're targeting. Okay. You can't just do like a blanket type of ad that's going to cover everybody in this case, because depending on the product, but in this case here, it won't work.
Interesting. No, that's great, and some good insights. So thank you for all of that. If anyone listening is at all interested in anything that I have said or Jason has said today, we'd really love to hear from you. And if you're out there thinking like, okay, my advertising is not working as best as it has in the past, and you're not yet on these platforms because you're not sure how they work, or if you don't think that they're right for you, or if your customers on them, we got news for you. Pretty much everybody is on these platforms today, so it's a good time to invest the time in figuring them out, talking to people that know what to do on them to get ads in front of the right people. So if you're interested, let us know. You can reach us on social, of course, at Merged Media, on our website, merged.ca, or by emailing podcast@merged.ca. Okay, now for the final question of the podcast. We're going to do this every single week, where we ask the same question to every single one of our guests. And that is, Jason, if you could choose one person, dead or alive, to represent our brand, Merged Media, who would it be and why?
It's a tough one. But to think of a good brand ambassador, I have to think about our business. And we are the one-stop digital shop. We take care of Facebook, Google, websites, SEO. So that brand ambassador should be somebody that is pretty versatile.
You think?
And right, can do a lot of stuff. And the person that comes to mind for me is Prime Time. Do you know Prime Time?
I don't. Not by that name, anyways.
Prime Time, Deion Sanders, man.
Oh.
Deion Sanders or Bo Jackson. Both played multiple sports, football and baseball, and they're able just to kind of do it all.
Yeah.
And I think having that type of person that can slam home runs out of the park, steal bases, and score touchdowns is definitely a good brand ambassador for Merged Media.
I like that. I can get on board with that. I know who both are. I'd say
hit him up on IG.
Yeah, let's hit him up. Bo or Dion, if you're listening to this, hit us up. We'd love to have you. But I would like to see Bo Jackson a little bit more. He's an Auburn Tiger, War Eagle. So Bo, hit us up. We're big Auburn fans.
Is that who your pick is? I'm gonna flip it on you. So who's your pick?
Out of the two, I would pick him. But if I was to choose anybody, I'm not sure.
Michael Jordan had a stint with baseball as well. He could be a good one.
He did. It was from what I remember, it was not a good one. But
no, it was short-lived.
Yeah, it was very short-lived. Whereas these two guys that you picked were both good at both sports. So let's just stick with that. I'll take the easy way out. I'm going to go with Bo Jackson, and we'll leave it at that. So thank you. That's great.
Awesome.
Well, that's it for today, everyone. We hope you enjoyed today's episode of the Merged Marketing Podcast, and hope you were able to extract a nugget of value from it that you can take away and implement into your marketing strategy. I would like to thank Jason for sharing his knowledge with everyone today. Please ensure to reach out and finally subscribe to the podcast if you haven't already on your favorite listening platform. Again, my name is David, along with Jason.
Hey.
And we are signing off for another week. Remember always, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. Cheers, everybody.